Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown Day 187 by my count. So what's going on? What's going down? Well, Trump was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Fun fact, if I remember correctly, was it Alfred Nobel invented dynamite, TNT, and it was then used to make explosives and blew up people all over the world in war, and then he felt bad about it, so he made a prize that he would give to people for helping to promote peace. I believe Teddy Roosevelt was a recipient for helping to negotiate the Russo-Japanese War of 1890 something. Anyways, that's kind of old hat. I don't know if Trump will actually get it. I don't know if he even deserves it. Whatever. It's the whole. I mean, Obama won it for like winning an election, basically, and then went on and started more like armed conflicts and wars and collapsed countries and blah blah blah. Anyways. What's going down on Twitter again today is I guess we're revisiting the Cuties fiasco, debacle, scandal, shit show, whatever the hell it is. I already covered this like a month ago when the promotional sort of collateral came out and people were mad. Oh man, Seattle looking like LA today. But I'm not going to complain because the whole West Coast looks like it's on fire. It's a fiery dystopian sci-fi hellscape from the looks of it. I'll include the links if you haven't seen how fucked up it is in other parts of the West Coast at least. So I'm not going to complain too much. But anyways, this Cuties thing. So now we got people sharing a video from the film, quote-unquote film, let's say, of these very young girls dancing very sexually suggestively, mimicking your WAP type, you know, twerking and posing suggestively and scantily clad. And the argumentation is the film is a critique of our toddlers and tiaras kind of culture, right? We were already sexualizing young girls, I mean also young men, but young and boys, but young girls specifically in this instance. And so it's okay to create this content and stream it on a platform as large as Netflix because it's cultural commentary. There's a lot of pearl clutching going on the one hand. Oh, look at this content that's unacceptable. We need to ban it and cancel our Netflix. There's all kinds of crazy shit on Netflix that involves things like murder and violence and crime and all kinds of other things. I didn't see you guys like clutching your pearls about all that shit. Okay? Stranger Things portrays young kids being romantically interested in each other. Didn't really hear a lot of complaining about that because it wasn't too sexual. This is what a lot of people apparently call too sexual, and I would agree. The gyrations and the poses and motions and things, like I don't really want to include a link to the video. It's on Twitter. You can go find it. Like if you're just gonna get mad, don't watch it. Really, because you already know what the content is even without watching it, really. But if you want to, I don't know, if you want to like try to take a more reasoned stance, go watch it. You'll probably be off-put. I mean, I find it off-putting, but it's sort of designed to be off-putting. It's not supposed to be okay, but that doesn't mean they didn't just create basically softcore child pornography, right? Like, this is exactly what pedophiles want to, you know, satisfy themselves. It is 100% what it is. Now, this is our issue. As a culture, we do sexualize young people all the time. And I want to say, like, we got to be careful here, all right? The issue is you have things like catalogs and, you know, like, you know, clothing lines and things that are for young people. So they portray young people in the advertising, and that can be like a crop top or shorts or a skirt. Increasingly, it gets to clothing that is more and more sexualized, but they're not nude, so it's not child pornography. You're still basically sexualizing young people or showing them that it's normalizing sexualizing clothing, and it's marketed to young people, and young people are exploring their sexuality, let's call it that. But also, like, we're pretending like this isn't a thing, like that teenage pregnancy hasn't been an ongoing problem for a long, long time, right? I believe it was Mountain Home, Idaho, a red state, at one point had the highest rate of teen pregnancy in the country, and the local, was it sheriff, I guess, was like arresting the pregnant teenage girls because they had sex and broke the law. And there were so many of them getting locked up for this that it became a scandal. And it kind of became a national story. And Mountain Home, Idaho is like some tiny little Air Force Base town. But there was some, you know, there's youthful sexuality happening, and the result was a bunch of pregnant teenage girls. So, we know if you ever hooked up when you were underage, or you were of age and hooked up with someone who seemed eager and they were underage, you were like 18 and they were 17 or 16, you know this is true. Now, that might be illegal depending on what part of the country you're in, and then you get into a whole nother conversation about how this sort of pearl clutching about the modesty and safety of, say, these young girls in this movie, that being outrageous. You have there's crazy fucking laws in this country, guys. There's places like, well, I mean, in Washington, I think the age of consent is like 16. I think. I've never looked it up because, you know, I'm already on too many databases as it is. But like, there's places like where the age of consent is, okay. All right, you got it under control, bro. The age of consent is, well, if you're married, you can get married at like 14. And then sexual consent then is a private matter between quote-unquote spouses, right? So this pearl clutching, again, about like, the sexualization of young people. I mean, there are so many movies and stuff, guys, where you remember American Pie? Okay, just take your fucking time, dude. There's not like a whole nother city of people around you, shithead. Remember American Pie? It was about young teenage high school kids all trying to get laid and lose their virginity. And a guy fucked a pie because, you know, he was simulating a thing. Anyways, like, American Beauty is another one of these, where, oh, it's a social critique of our sexualization of young people, when Mira Sorvino, am I saying that right? Mira Sorvino was getting crushed on by Kevin Spacey. Well, the man's a good actor, I suppose. Look at this. Look at this. Look at what this mental patient has done to their vehicle. Can you see what they've done? They glued all kinds of crazy shit all over their car. Maybe we'll get up closer to them. We'll see what's going on. Sexualizing a young high school girl, a cheerleader, and the sexualizing high school kids and high school cheerleaders specifically, it is a thing. I mean, like, Bring It On is like, there's like 10 Bring It On movies that's about basically high school cheerleaders, and there's all kind of innuendo and stuff. And they're always very pretty, and there's always a kind of sexual component. They're wearing miniskirts, for Christ's sake. Like, this is a thing that exists It existed before this Cuties movie. However, that doesn't make it all okay. And it got everybody talking, though. Now, are people going to have the conversation I'm kind of having, where it's like, well, you know, we do these things and we do those things, and it doesn't make this film okay. They did sort of make softcore child pornography and called it art, but it's a critique. It falls exactly where it's supposed to be, which is part of what makes it quote-unquote art, is everyone has a different take, and there's all kinds of layers to it, and it does point out a hypocrisy, especially in the West, and I believe the filmmaker is a descendant of immigrants in France, and this is her criticizing the sexualization that she felt as a young person. Like, again, that doesn't necessarily make it okay, but if you want to start censoring art because you find it offensive, well, then there's all kinds of, again, sexualization of young people all over the place in media because, well, I think we're obsessed with hot young people. I mean, that's sort of the thing, and I don't mean the girls in that movie. They are too young to be doing those things, and one of the criticisms is those actresses themselves are too young to have consented to perform the way they do in that movie. I can get there with that. They were not really aware. Their parents should have been aware of the content they were being asked to make, and it is what I want to call it inappropriate for what it is. Let's see if I can sneak up on this guy right here. What the fuck? Like when you see a mental patient that's allowed to drive a car. Like, what in the fuck, bro? Like, what the fuck is all over your car? And like, imagine that thing getting in a wreck. It would just crash and it would just be like an explosion of like garbage flying off of it. But yeah, I don't know. Is that a take on Cuties? Is that coherently incoherent? Incoherently coherent? Like, we already do this. It's a criticism. We should all be aware of it. But the pearl clutching about, God, what the fuck do you have all over your goddamn car? What the hell is it? Are those your dreads hanging over the back of your seat? What in the world is going on? What the fuck? Okay. Yeah, so we were mad about this last month or so ago. I did an episode about it. Maybe I'll link to my previous episode. Okay, we got it. Did you see it? Did you see it? What the fuck? All right, that's enough from me for one day about pedophiles and Netflix and child pornography and all kinds of other things that'll probably get my account canceled. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.